Welcome back, everyone. Winning Mindset Formula. I'm Tom Tabor. With me, as always, Jonathan Russian. Want to introduce a very special guest today, LJ Scott, former running back, University of Louisville and Eastern Kentucky. LJ, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Tom did a good job. LJ Scott. I started my collegiate career at University of Louisville, straight out of high school. Spent 3 seasons there. No, 2 seasons, 3 years there. Football gets weird if you're trying to count the off season. I graduated high school early, so it's like, how much time did I actually spend there? No one really knows. But I spent 3 seasons there. Transferred to Eastern Kentucky, got granted a medical redshirt year. So I got 2 seasons back. And yeah, I had a tremendous collegiate career in my own eyes, just not even looking at it through an accolade standpoint, just being able to, receive texts like the one I got last week from a good teammate of mine saying, "Hey man, I'm doing my podcast next week." So, I was really spoiled in that regard, just being around a whole bunch of teammates and stuff. So yeah, that's who I am. That's how me and Tom know each other. Eastern Kentucky, oh eternal Colonel, my guy. That's him.
No, absolutely. LJ, yeah, we're super glad to have you. So, yeah, to start off, obviously you had a very successful high school career out there in Marion. I think I saw you were a three-star recruit, which
Yeah.
allowed you, to get to Louisville, a Power Five school, ACC. Obviously, you guys had some great years there, especially in 2016.
Oh yeah.
Talk to me about, some of the people you were able to play with there, in particular, you know, we're going to ask about
The
Lamar
one and
Jackson.
only. The one and only. Look, I'm gonna say this on the podcast first. Hey, my man Lamar. I don't know who's listening, who's dialed in. Hey, my man.
I love it. I love it.
But look, at Louisville, especially, me and Tom played with the NFL guy out of defensive end. He's
Oh,
spent time wearing Jaguars, Denver. He bounced around a little bit, but definitely Louisville was where I was obviously spoiled around, all the NFL talent. Devante Parker, that was probably in my eyes the freakiest person I've ever seen. Like obviously Lamar did what he did, and off screen I'm messing with my dog. He's being real annoying, so I don't want to hate.
all good.
Devante Parker, as far as like stepping in the weight room, being able to like effortlessly throw around any weight you put on a bar, didn't even look like he cared to do it. It was everything was nonchalant to him. And then, for him to be just a goofy kid, like he was a special person to play with. Sheldon Rankins, defense tackle, that made my
Big dude.
is very nerve wracking. Going the inside run and looking at number 98 across the ball, I'm like, look, with all due respect, but we got 5 guys on my side, can't do a single thing. So it's just a matter of, how Pete felt that day. If he was in a bad mood, he was going to light you up. But if he was in a good mood, he'll wrap you up, show you some love. And I was a young guy on a lot of these guys' tenures. So, to not only play with them, but to be the young guy and for them to give me, advice in the ice tub and stuff like that, or in the treatment room was like a real treat. I played with offensive lineman Jamon Brown. He spent some time, I think got drafted when they were still St. Louis Rams. And then they moved out to LA. John Miller. I'm trying to touch on my offensive line and make sure I get them guys.
Give them all the credit they deserve.
Absolutely. He still plays in the league, bounces around a few teams. I think he's on like one of those like 2-3 year contract types of guys now. But the league is the league. You don't.
The league is the
walk out
league.
for forever. Jaire Alexander, golly, when he stepped in there, he graduated high school early. Let me talk about this one for a while, because I got to talk about him the same way I'm talking about Lamar. Jaire Alexander, when he stepped in, he graduated high school early, so he's on campus. 17-year-old, just was in high school a couple months ago. And I tell you, he was a man amongst boys immediately. Like, we knew he was going to start and play for us, like, first 4 or 5 practices. I'm just talking about complete ball hawk, like wherever the ball was, he was. And then it was his special team, which he doesn't get a lot of opportunity to do in the league, because obviously the league is the league, but those multiple position guys are, now one position guy, because you have another guy who's that one because that's his walk position. So, you don't see a lot of guys playing a primary offensive or defensive position and then being a returner. But if he got the chance to do that in the league, you guys would immediately see that. Outside of Lamar, literally, only Lamar I've seen a natural ball carrier. Like he just has a feel for spaces, angles, where to run. Tremendous power checker. Sheesh, who else up clearly? Those are all the big names right now, and then obviously Lamar. So like Lamar gets on campus, and like the second he gets on campus, he's a big name immediately for like something that I always feel like very odd for him to happen to you, coming in the college. But he gets on college or he gets on campus, and we're still in like our first, 2 weeks of summer weeks. He's still with the young guy group. He's trying to get acclimated before we mix in, the veteran group and younger guys who just got on campus. And there's a strip like right where all the athletic dorms are. And underneath the strip or underneath the apartment complex is a line of restaurants. And in the restaurant just so happened to be Louisville native that day, Rajon Rondo.
Oh,
Rajon Rondo's eating, and he gets out there, and Rajon Rondo's a native. So like he's back in Louisville, it's not like far treatment, like people are gazing from afar, or he's telling people to stand off. Them was people he grew up with. People were like just going up to him nonchalantly, "What's up, Doe?" Or like, "What's up, Rondo?" Like calling him by his name, calling him by childhood nicknames. Like that's the type of love he's getting. So he's intermingling with crowds a little bit, and he gets to woofing with some football players, hollering back and forth. "Yeah, I'll beat you on the race, da 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 da." He just so happened to pick Lamar Jackson.
to race him?
In the race. Yeah. So
Oh,
like,
no.
That's crazy.
where we're sitting in there, and campus is kind of busy. I mean, it's summer, and like the first couple of weeks of summer, it's only football players and ball up there. Like,
Yes.
there ain't very many people.
Or soccer, or maybe
Soccer
some
or
men's
something like
basketball
that.
players, but
Exactly. There's not very many people other than athletes. But because of that strip and where campus is located in Old Louisville, it's still pretty busy. But like Rajon is literally stopping traffic. Like he tells this guy, like, "Hey, I know the light's green, but look, we got something to hash out." He stops traffic, he clears people, and I like there's a crowd on both sides. I mean, it's not like huge crowd, but I mean, it's enough gathering. Boom, they take out order. There's still stand by like 30 yards, 20, 30 yards away. He's got his hands up like traditional, passing.
Yep. Exactly.
Go, and then boom, they take off in 3 steps. You just saw like Lamar had a different type. Like, he can get, that's the difference between Lamar's speed and other athletes' speed. Kind of veer off real quick. Like he can get the top end speed now. He can, but not only can he get the top end speed now, he can get that Florida dead leg. It's better than any of them I've ever seen. He can get the top end speed now, 0 now, and his next step is back at top end. Like, dude, he was just right here. He was in the same vicinity. But so they race, and then from there, Lamar's name is just it's ringing. Well, he struggled. He didn't struggle. He had a typical freshman camp. Dissecting defenses was hard to him. I mean, we obviously saw that his ability to run could bail him out of a lot of situations. So you kind of saw that the coaches were early on in camp kind of game planning certain packages for him, but not like we're going to give him the reins. It was like
Sort of like a wildcat type offense.
So we actually had one dialed up for Arbor, and we're going down to Georgia for the little Chick-fil-A Classic kickoff between the ACC team and the SEC team. We happened to be playing Auburn that year. Our very first play of the game, we run what is essentially a jet motion, which Lamar, I don't know how he did it. He was either lined up in the backfield or we motioned him to the backfield from like a slot position. But he gets jet motion, bull dead toss, and he has to make a pass. Very first collegiate pass, interception. We're all on the sideline. And like, I kid you not, we were dog cussing. You should just throw this ball, and then boom, in our face, Heisman Trophy winner.
Just
Shouldn't
like
get
that.
2 years in a row because the stats got better, but we're not even gonna go there. Yeah. But all that to say, I mean, I could speak on his ability enough, but you guys see him on TV. That's boring. That's the boring. Lamar is like a 5-star human. Heart bigger than the body that God gave him to carry. Like, he is literally, I've seen this dude handle like absolute stardom and fame at 18 years old better than I ever thought. I mean, you all tried to chase, oh, I'm gonna be, the Tom Brady one day. We all, kind of saw ourselves in that limelight, but to watch him do it and handle it the way he did, like, kudos, hats off to him. Like, he never made a mistake. Almost like that LeBron James effect. Like, you really can't find where in, Lamar's past that he's got that blemish that like people try to hold into the fire. So he would always give kids time of day, stop to give fans time of day. Like, how tight. I don't know, Jonathan, if you played college football. Tom, like when you get that agenda on travel day, it's by the minute. It's like,
Oh yeah.
we're boarding the bus at, and it's weird minutes, Jonathan. It's like we're boarding the bus at 2:53, getting off the, you know, 3:21s.
And it's exact, like the bus is always there at the
But it's
exact time it
always
needs to be. You have a
it's
police escort.
always her. So we got those tight itineraries. Lamar was the only person I've ever seen have the the juice to ruin every single itinerary we ever had. Whenever he saw a fan, he's stopping him. And now we're behind. But like, that's who Lamar was. We wasn't going to give him a stop. After games, we used to have to like give him his own exit path to the bus. Like, you know how like you walk out the locker room, parents are there, and you got your like post game meal and get on the bus. Lamar was not allowed to do that. He had to go like through a whole different side, get on the bus incognito style, because fans would bombard the bus. Like, I was among stardom, and it was like, look, dude, I'm kid you not. It was like the stuff you see on like Rockstar Tree. I'm talking like we're on the bus to the game. You see kitties every other week because they want to flash the bus because they know Lamar's on it. I'm like, dog, I gotta sit in seats. You know, crazy, man. But he's a 5-star human. And then my other guy, Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle, and I'm talking about QB, so that's where my mind went. I'm disappointed in myself that I was going to leave him out in the first place. But like Tom could tell you, Tim told me something come out of the meeting room once, and I told myself I'd never feel like that again. You remember that like come to Jesus meeting we had?
So the SEMO after SEMO.
Yep, after SEMO, and it was just player led. I didn't say, and so Jonathan, at the time, I'm a team captain. It's my first year at EKU. Peers voted me team captain. I busted my butt when I got there to earn these guys respect. But we call players only meeting, and I don't say nothing in this meeting. I'm kind of like a fly on the wall. And on the way out, Tim was like, "Thanks for being there, team captain." And just like you could kind of feel like he was pissed at me. And I was like, I'll never feel like that again. From like that point on, Tim like raised my ball. Like, I knew I had to be a better leader all the time. I could not pick and choose when, the leader hat was going to be put on. So like Tim raised my bar as a player. He was a phenomenal quarterback. Like, the system we were in didn't fit him. You could tell. Like, he was more, I don't know. It was just, but Tim was like the ultimate leader. He pushed guys. He taught me things that, I thought arrogantly that I was already good at. Then watching him do it, like lead other guys, talk to other guys, study film, stuff like that. I was like, all right, this guy is here to make me better. We're supposed to cross paths. And I'm grateful for Tim. An awesome guy too. Like, outside of the field, he's one of the first people I'm calling up to chill. He was just that type.
No, absolutely. Talking about leadership, LJ, is there a specific like definition that kind of stands out in your head for, what is leadership? Like what's a good leader? Like, give me some, what are some qualities?
At the college level, I can't shy away from the fact that a good leader's got to be productive. Like, you're dealing with a lot of outputs, and those outputs aren't going to respect the guy who's not producing. Like,
Mm.
Pete, for an example, our punter. Now, guys respected him. They learned to respect him because he busted his butt. He had been there for a long time. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to belittle his role as a leader. 'Cause this guy Keith was a true, absolute leader, a leader of leaders. But he didn't get the same type of respect as all the other position leaders got because he was a partner. So like that lack of production didn't give him, although the team respected him as a leader, didn't give him the same rapport as my leadership, Tim's leadership, or, Jeff's leadership. It wasn't the same. So I do think the leader has to be productive, especially at like higher level, like the NFL and college. You don't see that C badge on this Joe Blow, who's work hard, work forward.
We'll
Like,
see it on someone like Joe Burrow,
yeah, exactly. Like it had
who has the productivity.
can't shy away from it. He's got to be loyal. Like, and what I mean by that is like what Coach Elder put me in my leadership position. I mean, the team voted me in, but when Coach Elder communicated what he needed from me when he recruited me, it was like he needed the guy to come in here. Like he was going to give me both sides, which was, like what he needed. And then also he needed me to be able to gel what was at the time a shaky relationship between the coaching staff and players. So like my loyalty, when I say that, is like he knew at the end of the day, no matter what he told me, no matter what my guys told me that they needed from the coaching staff, that my loyalty was with the players. Like if there was going to be a compromise, if there was going to be a, stand here, we're not running, like, sorry, coach, but I'm going to have to stand here and not run. Like, just to give you an example of like, that was where my loyalty was at. So a leader's got to be loyal.
Mhm.
I mean, who he's lining up with and taking the battle, like, to the end. And then I think the big thing is getting everyone on the same page. Like I thought that was my biggest, like after Tim had gotten into my ass a little bit, and then that was something that I was like, I need to do that more. Like Tim obviously called this meeting so that we can get on the same page and be a better team. So like after that, I started focusing more on my individual relationships with guys so that when the time came, I had the rapport and I had the, validity, the dog cushion, get you to do what we needed to be on the same page. So like productivity, got to be loyal, and you've got to have the ability like to get guys on the same page. Like you see I can name any sport, and you already see a captain like she hits the fan, don't crown on my hey guys, all right, take a deep breath, here's where we're at, boom, 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 getting reestablishing that. All right, here's our focus. Here we're on the same page.
Someone has to keep you even keel.
Even kill, yeah. And if you lack that ability to bring your team back to even kill, then I think it's hard for you to truly lead the team.
Absolutely. So LJ, I had a question for you.
Mhm.
So when me and Tom were kind of talking about you and your story before this episode, he was telling me, he was pretty much raving about your leadership ability.
Mhm.
And, just so far from like hearing you kind of go through your list of old teammates and telling stories and kind of reflecting on what they brought to the table and how it impacted you,
Mhm.
I can kind of see like exactly what he was saying. But
Appreciate that, man.
one thing specifically he said about you is that you're a culture builder
Mhm.
and a tone setter. So I'm definitely curious to hear kind of your thoughts on that. Like what is a tone setter to you? And this can be football, this can be, professionally, within your family, any application that you can really think of. But like how do you step into that position and have that approach and kind of pull that off? Because like you said, like that good case that you brought up with the punter,
Mhm.
not everybody can pull that off, even if they have the qualities.
No
So
doubt.
how are you able to do
So I'll tell you specifically my approach, and time to time you gave me some big words here and there, buddy. Tone setter and culture builder. Woo!
I was
No,
raving about that. Yep.
I'll tell you exactly my mindset going into EKU, and hopefully it answered the question. So, like I said, the second time around recruiting, I was like, you know what? Here's what I can't let coaches come in and tell me, this is all the BS, this the first time around, I probably paid too much attention to yada, yada, yada. This second time, I can't let these, red flags come up and me not address them or me not, at least acknowledge them in my own thought process of where I'm going to go to school second time around. None of that shit even ended up mattering. I can cuss on here, right? This ain't like a lie.
Yes. No, absolutely.
None of
Absolutely.
that shit even came to matter because Coach L was the only coach that sat in front. So in my mindset, immediately going to EKU was like, the second recruiting process was like humbling. I was like, I thought I was going to sit in front of different coaches, yada, yada, yada. Only one. All right, let's strap this shit up and let's ride. So I get there and already know I'm coming from a big school. I'm coming to FBS. I'm going to FCS. So I'm like, I cannot be big guy in the camp. I can't come in here talking certain things. I can't come in here comparing facilities from FBS to FCS. Obviously, Louisville has a better facility than KU. Let's not do this. Like, I can't come in here doing those things. Like, being that guy is not going to help me, blend in. And so I was like, can't come in here doing those things. My first thing I told myself, I was like, just don't sing. Like, let them see that you are a hard worker. And the same approach, I can honestly say I took at Louisville. When I got on Louisville's campus, it was Sheldon Rankins. I remember him telling me this in the ice game. Sheldon Rankins and D'Angelo Brown. They were like, Scott, that's what they called me in Louisville. They were like, Scott, when you first got here, it was like, we thought you was the transfer because he knew that there was 3 people coming in, 2 high school players, and then there was 1 transfer. But 2 guys came in, me and the other high school, my roommate, Cameron Polk. But the transfer, it was taking some while to get in. So the team, or at least Sheldon and D'Angelo, we're talking about at the time with junior. These are upperclassmen. They've seen a lot of teammates. They've seen, mature guys, all this stuff. They was like, yeah, we knew Cam was in high school. They were like, we thought you was the transfer. Because I came in, physically mature. I busted my butt and waiting to walk around high school. They were like, it was just how you held yourself. And they were like, we also didn't think you spoke. Because all I would say was good. I would say what's good. I would address teammates if they talk to me, if they open up conversation. But I wanted to be the young guy. As soon as I got there, I wanted to let guys know, like, oh, he's about to hit this dude. He comes to the weight room. He's not like class. We don't ever hear him on any type of list, anything like that. So same approach at EKU. I was like, I'm not going to sing. I was like, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to talk when I need to talk. Like, these guys are going to know that I'm about it, that I'm here to work hard, and I'm here to see who can find that same level as me. And I not in like in an egotistical way, but I tried to make it very apparent that my preparation was better. Like when I was in the weight room, how I did lifts or how I did stuff on the football field or how I took notes, I wanted to make it apparent that it was better than yours. Not to belittle you, but for you to raise yours.
To set an example.
To set an example. And that setting example to me is like, equivalent to what you said, that's you setting the tone. Like, if a coach is saying, hey, look at so-and-so, look how he's going his home, that's how we should. I used to get offended. Like, a coach should use me as an example every single time. If I'm leading this team, then it needs to be from me. Or even if it's not me, nobody's going to be able to look at me and say, oh, well, LJ's not doing it right. If I'm the alpha, if I'm the team captain, then I know that everything's got to go through me. Coaches are going to feed me, feed the team. And Coach Elder and Coach Meyer pulled me aside and had a conversation with me once. They gave me an analogy like, LJ, man, and this was at the point where I was still quiet. It's like, LJ, man, you're doing a great job leading by example, but like, what happens if you dip a sponge in water they gave a sponge analogy, and who, in a nutshell, to say, don't let me get on here and embarrass myself, but in a nutshell, say like, you can't feed these guys more unless you empty this sponge. Like what you have in you, you got to empty it. Then you got to go get some more. Then you got to bring it back to the guys. You got to empty it again. And it's that cycle that's going to feed these guys, things and intangibles that they don't know that they have, but you've seen from big schools what they've told me. So I'm like, all right. But at that point that they told me the sponge analogy, I think it was like, they were like, all right, he's leading by example, but he's still be quiet. And then I think I had to blow up on, we were doing some gas again. You remember when I had to blow up on Coop?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was
This
the
was
first time.
this was with the coach
No,
wasn't
that was in
even
the
there.
summer. That was in the summer. That was later. This was in the winter. Who did I blow up on the winter?
Was this your first winter? I wasn't there. Your first winter.
It was Keith. It was Keith.
Keith the punter. Who we
Oh,
The winner again.
Yep, it was him. I blew up on him.
two leaders going up on each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but it was a hands-on knees thing, and he actually was blowing up on me. But in that split moment, I'd done something that, like, I mean, obviously it happens to everyone, but like hindsight 2020, like I was the one who lost my cool. Like he was trying to coach me on standard that EKU had before I got there. And it was like a hands-on knees thing, or I was bent over, but I wasn't really tired. And what he came at me, we kind of like exchanged some words. I didn't like how he came at me. But then after, I remember apologizing to Keith, like, hey man, if this is the way around here, you got to teach me so I know that I'm doing things according to EKU standard.
Taking ownership for your actions. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the kind of person you always are.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that mindset of just going in there, being quiet until you earn guys respect, kind of sets the tone. And then the whole culture thing, that was all of us, man. That was the community. Like that culture at EKU, and it was different at UConn. Like it embodies more than just, a couple leaders and a football team. That's the community. That's us going out to freaking paddy wagon on Wednesdays, all that dumb stuff. Like that's the culture. And honestly, we have better culture at EKU because of small school, had different diverse backgrounds, and everyone wasn't just dead set, hey, I'm going to the league. I got to figure out how I'm going to get there. It was more like, this is more of a team, a lot of paths as far as football go in right here. So let's just make the most.
And not a lot of people make it out of the FCS and go on to the next level. So, we're all trying to be the ultimate teammates. We're very realistic. We know that this is probably going to be our last stop, Jonathan.
So if you go from the FBS to the FCS, is it like safe to assume that you are coming from a higher talent level, like individually, like you might have more talent than the guys that are on that team currently? Like you have to go in there and like you're already looked at like you maybe have a little bit more talent. Is that how it works, or is it always not like that?
That's the perception. Like absolutely. Like you hit it right on it. Whether or not that individual truly does have more talent than the guys on that individual team and vice versa is, case by case, but the perception of an FBS player going to FCS is like, oh crap, coming in, they're priming to be the starter. We're expecting production out of him. Like I was named the freaking preseason all OVC. Watch out before, anyone
For your first season at EKU.
in a spring game or anything like that was mere fact that it came from Louisville, where they're like, all right, we're expecting this kid to have more production.
Yeah. So from the sounds of it, like what sounds special about the approach you had was that, like you had the humility, but you also had like the grace to understand like I'm coming from the FBS to the FCS and I need to like earn respect. I'm not gonna walk in entitled, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna go in there and I'm actually gonna buy into the program.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of, that leadership role that you took on.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, like, did you always kind of have that, or is that something that you picked up from like growing up? Did you get any of that from like your parents or your background or anything? Or are you
Yeah.
just a natural born leader?
No, I think a little bit is, obviously my parents and stuff and my upbringing. Like, I feel like a lot of teams I've been on, like, I've usually been propelled into that leadership role. And then, but usually, like, at a young age, whether they're a natural leader or not, if they're the best one on the team, then usually they're kind of like nudged towards, breaking all the huddle, being in the center of pictures, just like literally, it's like,
Which is exactly what you were.
seriously. But I think it's whether or not that person, like, one, I think it has to do with whatever they're doing. Like, do they truly love it enough to where, like, that ability to grow is there? And then it's whether they can handle it. And, I'd always been nudged for a leadership role in football. Like, I've been more loyal to the game of football than relationships. They like, it sounds crazy to say out loud, but like, I think a lot of football players could say, like, they've been more disciplined and faithful to football than they've been in a lot of other aspects of life. But because of that love, it was easy for me to keep wanting to grow more as a, and as far as like my parents go, dad, military background, did not play any games. So like, as far like, maybe I wouldn't have always been a leader, but I've always coached a lot. So I guess, that also played a big part of it. My upbringing, I've led, just about every team I was on. And I've actively, like, at a young age, remember, always thinking very maturely of like what I did. I was getting interviewed by paper and just always in the back of my mind, make sure you get the offensive line. Just like at a young age, thinking like that. So it's always, so it's always been in me, I guess, to be that.
Absolutely. And then LJ, talking about your time at EKU, I want to talk about the running back room. So,
We had faith in it.
so it was a loaded running back room. Now, obviously, you're an FBS transfer. You're coming from a Power 5 school. Now, I'm sure people are expecting like, okay, LJ Scott, he should be touching the rock, 40 times a game. But in this talented running back room, you're splitting reps. You're splitting reps in practice. You're splitting reps in the games with, sometimes 3, maybe 4 backs. And, something I preached about you, that I discussed with Jonathan, in prepping for this episode was that you never complained about lack of carries. You never complained about that. You were
No.
always encouraging for the other guys. And then even when you were out of the game, you were still coaching up, especially the younger backs that were in there. That's just the kind of person you are. So I just want you to touch on that a little bit.
Dude, that's the greatest part of the game. When the game was over for me, I cried at the fact that I won't be able to like coach up younger guys. I won't be able to see a guy like grow as the season goes on. I won't be able to like throw my arm around a guy, ask him how his family's going. Like, that would hurt me the most about leading the game, because that's what it's about. Like, you play enough football, you have enough success and failures to understand they come and go. But like, those bonds, like, that's what you don't hit back. Those like successes and failures look different as life goes on. They may not be winning the end of the football game, but okay, they're still there. But bonds like those, EKU, night and day, like, I created so much more bonds there than Louisville. Not to compare the two, but just that's the type of team, like, in the league for me to do that. But to answer your question, as far as not complaining in the running back room, just being there and advocating for other guys, you can attest to it. The guys who all carry the ball earn. And as a leader, a guy who preaches to the team that you got to be out here busting your butt, earning reps, I can't be mad when a guy earns reps, even if it comes at the expense of money. Now, a lot of people can't get bitter about that, especially, thinking at the time, not trying to put myself on a high horse, but I do believe in my heart of hearts that I was an NFL caliber player. Um, I didn't think the right eyes got to see me to give me that legitimate opportunity. But for a guy who legitimately feels like they're an NFL caliber player, yeah, taking some of my reps, it may get a little heated in some of the room, because now you're not dealing with high school kids who you got to talk through mom and dad to, dealing with a grown man. I can't come here, Dad. No. Stop. But no, all those guys in that room early air reps. And again, like that was just the most fun part of the game for me, was just being a teammate. Like, I think EKU really taught me how to take my teammates to another level. Like, Coach Elder is always, well, celebrate with your teammates. And then he's highlighting the team or like on film what it looks like all of us running down.
He literally points out like everyone's celebration. He wants
Yes,
to see
it's
the
like-
excitement. He wants to see you celebrating your teammates' success.
Yeah. So like, I literally just bought into that. And yeah, I don't know. Like, it wouldn't have been easy to get bitter about those reps. But again, all those guys earned those reps. And just being a good teammate was the whole thing. And I would have been a bad leader if I wasn't happy for it. I mean, you got to think, we had Alonzo Booth, true freshman, who
Bowling ball.
he could run through anything, Jonathan. Like, he was an absolute freight train. You got Daryl, who
Speed demon.
complimented us in like our heavy, like we relied a lot on outside zone. That was Daryl's biggest or best play. Whereas when we go to a dual run scheme, now you call in me. So I think we all had a niche for, that worked as far as splitting up carries or situational ball, who you need to call in. You on the receiving back, you have to call me in. We're not calling in Jay Lou. Love my guy to death, but and Jay Lou, like, he's in the room. He was another ASU transfer. So I mean, the room was deep, Jonathan, and Tom's right. Like, 4 guys, deservingly so, could have said, I'm not getting enough carry, but we just embraced it. I think we were good for that reason. Because like, we were probably, I'm not trying to high horses, but we were probably the deepest, most talented position
On the team.
On the team.
with
Yes.
like night and day. Deeper than the receivers, deeper than tight end, the O-line. Like, we're just a deep position, and all of us could have bought. All of us could have went in and had the same production seamlessly. But it did help that we all had a niche. Like, obviously, Daryl's outside zone, really good in our spring game. He could hide behind you guys. I was a really good duo where any type of gap scheme down. Me and Jay, we both short yardage goal line. Like, it was fun.
Now, first of all, before you continue on, I just want to address LJ's power. So he doesn't care. He doesn't care who's in the way. For example, if his guard is getting blown up, he will literally run into his guard and fight for extra yards. Like, my rib cage is still recovering from that
Oh,
for sure.
I'm sorry.
It was
Look,
my fault. It was my fault.
I love that, man. I love that.
Goal line, they tell a running back, you're responsible for this yard. I don't care what it looks like. If I recruit you here, this people they give you. If I recruit you here, you should be able to get the yard. It's like, they got recruited to stop me from getting the yard. Like, we all good. But yeah, I dude, going back to my high school days, even my own cousin, like, he used to hate. He was my guard my whole life. Little league all the way up through high school and graduated. He used to always, every year, like, LJ, don't run in my back. Don't run in my back. Every year I was smoking. Wow, I'm sorry. Full fan.
You feel that. You feel that. Like, I can just think back right now and I'm just like, oh,
Dude, I thought you were about to mention, give me the juice.
I mean, that's Jonathan. If you want to hear a funny story, real quick.
Let's do it. I'm always down for those.
Am I going to go? Or you going
Yeah,
to go?
no, you can go. So we'll touch along the theme of leadership and bringing energy for the guys around you, especially young guys. Setting an example of like the appropriate energy you're supposed to have, during a team lift. So yeah, LJ, you can go ahead and tell us.
Let's hear it. Let's hear
All
it.
right, so look, big squat day. If we're heavy squatting, you know where Tom Tabor is in this damn week. There's no question where Tom is at. I'm not talking about weights rattling around. I'm talking about him screaming these exact words. Give me the juice. Give me the juice. Like, you knew wherever you heard, give me the juice, Tom Tabor was somewhere about to take a lot of weight for a ride. And what he meant by give me the juice was he wanted someone to take both their hands and flapping across his back. He was like, "Give me the juice. Give me the juice." And people were, wow, like, crazy offensive lineman shit. On the shit they do in the weight room. So he's walking around getting smacked in the back. But every time he said, "Give me the juice," I kid you not, the weight room was like revamped. I'm talking about dudes who was like kind of getting lethargic, was like, "All right, I'm down there screaming, 'Give me the juice.' What type of weight I'm about to put on my bar?" Like, and that's the shit that you need. So like Tom one day was like, "LJ, give me the juice." But like Tom mentioned earlier in the podcast, even kill guy. When I'm in the weight room, I'm focused. I'm trying to do shit absolutely correct. Like I might be rapping a little bit, the music up there. I might joke a little bit harder, but I'm not screaming. I'm not like entertaining a whole bunch of antics unless they feed the team. And Tom gave me the juice, fed the team. So I was like, all right, bet. Tom came to me one day, "LJ, give me the juice. Give me the juice." I'm thinking in my head like, dog, I'm not about to slap your ass with my hands. Like I didn't want to do it. So I looked at Jay Lou, who was my partner in the rack. I was like, "Give me your belt. Take off your belt." Tom's facing away from me. Tom never looked at you when he said, "Give me the juice." He was
Didn't
like,
even see it
"Give me
coming.
the juice." And he would just sit there and wait for you to smack him. So I'm like, "Give me the belt." He never seen this belt. I crow popped into it. I was like, smacked him across the back. And I never seen this look on Tom's face before. He was like, "Oh," like he looked around like, "Too much juice," but yeah, that was funny that day, man. He never asked me for juice again.
That is a true story. But yeah, it was just so during your, especially off-season workouts, Jonathan, they're tough. You got to do something to get the guys motivated. I was always tired as hell, but I didn't want my teammates to know I was tired. I needed them to have a source of energy to feed off of. So that was my mindset going into every single workout. It's like, how am I going to juice these guys up? How am I going to make sure we finish this with 100% effort and intensity?
Yeah, for sure.
Tom came in with the same presence I did. I mean, he was a transfer guy, so people expect stuff all the time. Yeah.
So LJ, kind of post football, how do you bring that same environment? Because you said you're teaching now.
Mhm.
How do you bring that same stuff that you learned from being in these locker rooms and on these teams into what you're doing now and passing that on to the kids that you're teaching and coaching?
I'll be honest, I'm still learning how to incorporate teaching. Like it's a whole different animal. It's not bad. But you got to learn the kids, and there's more of them than just a team. Like a team is easy to, I guess, incorporate these, things that I've learned to a team because I came from a team. Like it was a team that I did it with. So to incorporate it with another team, it's just, all right, read the room, figure out who's who, and then, go from there. But a main way that I try to get that through to the teams I'm teaching is honestly just trying to capture the alpha male. Like I try to identify whoever's the alpha male, and then because Tom will tell you,
Humble them.
yeah, humble them real quick, bring them down to earth, and like. But
Sorry,
then
guys, my
also,
internet's been bad. I missed all of that.
we didn't say much. It was a whole bunch of me trying to figure out where to go. But when you find the alpha and you're humbling, but then you're able to coach through it, like that's when you're going to get that team like that we had at EK. To me, in my eyes, that was the ultimate team I've been a part of. Like, and a lot of that wasn't even like orchestrated through just a handful of people. Like, yes, there was leaders and captains, but like that whole team bought in. Like once, and a lot of it dealt, or I think had to do with like a change in culture when we added Naylor. Like I think everyone's stand like raised, but I don't know. Like a lot of my experience at EKU wasn't like Naylor, the strength and conditioning coach. He had a famous quote, like being a leader was lonely. I honestly did not feel like being a leader was lonely. I felt like guys wanted to be led and that the other leaders did a great job as well. It wasn't like something that was hard to do. Like, and what do you mean by leadership is or can be lonely? Like when you have to not only get the most out of the team, but in the same breath, like come down on people and their actions, and some of those people might be your boy. Like sometimes I had to come at my right hand man. I'm talking about he was probably the only person like Jay Lou. Tom could say
Yep.
you never really saw me and Jay Lou not together. But you remember that little stint where he wasn't passing his conditioning test? Like
Yes.
had to come down on Jay Lou like really hard and let him know like this is
Holding each
who
other
you are
accountable.
in our team. Right now, you're not being them. How are we supposed to be the team we're supposed to be if you're not being the team that, like, yada, yada, yada. And that's what he means. Like, leadership can be low because there was a few days, me and Jay Lou wasn't on Xbox together. He wouldn't invite me to the Fortnite party. So it was like, all right, he hop with me now. But then when we rehashed and when he dapped me up again, it was like, hey, well, I was tripping. You right. We're going to get this together, pass distances. And I don't know if Tom tells you, we go on to win. And not this instance probably propelled the whole season, but like this is just the embodiment for me, culture of the team. It's like that same attitude, me and Jay Lou's conversation, we take it into a 7-4 season, should have made the playoffs, but I guess, the whole one where we didn't play enough games or something like that.
It was basically one conference win. And then Jonathan, this was a team that started 3-4, never gave up, kept clawing for, every single yard, every blade of grass, fought their way to winning 4 straight to finish out with that winning record. And it goes back to, holding each other accountable. It goes back to just simple things like, hey, making sure you pass your conditioning test. That basically led to us not giving up when we were down, with our 3-4 record. To be able to finish 7-4, just a game shy of the playoffs. That's the culture, the kind of culture that someone like a guy like LJ brings.
Mhm. For sure.
I tried.
I know I'm gonna remember what he said just a second ago about, finding the alpha male, humbling him and and then leading through them. That's brilliant though, because honestly, that's what you have to do a lot of times. Like there's always that one person in any different type of environments, there's always that alpha person. And sometimes if they go unchecked, I think that can cause kind of a like friction in the environment. You know what I mean? So
Friction in
some
the environment, and I mean a lot of other things.
Mhm.
A lot of other things. And like, honestly, I'm honestly about to answer a question Tom asked me earlier, but it relates to what you just said, like finding that alpha. Another reason why I never complained about reps or anything in our running back room is I just came from a team where I wasn't the alpha. And I watched a whole bunch of alphas make a sacrifice. I'm watching first round receivers or, talented receivers across the board, talented running backs across the board, say yes to less production so that we could put Lamar in a position for us to be a better team. Sometimes that's what it has to be like. In order for us to be the team we were at EKU, our running back room had to split those reps for us to be able to have the ability to run outside zones good we did and be able to be so good in different run schemes where as Louisville, we had to be that. In order for us to be as good as we were, everyone had to take a sacrifice. So I think having already did that at Louisville with a Heisman Trophy winner just kind of made it a little bit more easier to do again. Like, okay, see where it's helping the whole team, not just taking away from my activity. But once we established, like Jonathan just said, that alpha in Lamar, we all just fit accordingly after that. But before that, Lamar was set alpha, it was everyone trying to
Establish that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So LJ, if you're in an environment like Louisville where you have a lot more alphas that are sacrificing, can you have that same type of bond that you had in the running back room at EKU? Or is there a such thing, I guess, is what I'm asking. Is there a such thing as too many alphas in one place?
Hell yeah. Because at Louisville, that running back room was pink. Like, in guys' faces, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we cool, we cool, we cool." But like just reading the room, being the young guy in there, trying to figure out, how these dynamics work, man. All right, so we 5th-year senior in Dominique Brown. We had a 5th-year senior in Dominique Brown, and we also had another 5th-year senior in Michael Dye. He transferred from Auburn. He was the MVP of the national championship game when him and Cam Newton won it. He's the guy who they brought him down. It looked like he was tackled. He stayed on top of the guy. Ended up getting, I don't know if he scored or the first down. But so also had, we also had a lot of other people in the room who thought they deserved the ball. Right. So, but those was 2 big guys. They both like, all right, last chance, they go to the league. So like in their faces, I would say that they were like, oh yeah, it was cool. But like, if you were just around Mike and hear his conversation, he really didn't think much of Dominique. And if you were around Dominique and heard his conversation with the absence of Mike, he really didn't think much of Mike. So it wasn't even like they were a hater type deal. They pushed each other. I mean, to be in that environment, you just naturally, if you want to get better personally, you have to push other people who are around you, even if they play the same position or you will stagnate. So like, that's where that comes from. But I don't think they really messed with each other. I don't think that means you can have no, I'm standing on having too many alphas might be an issue because
There's a lot of tension. A lot of tension there.
it's not an issue if other alphas accept role, like at rule. Like I wouldn't say just because Lamar was, the main alpha that like other people weren't alpha, they were still alpha. They just understood in order for the team to be this good, this is, how my role changed. But a lot of teams with a lot of alphas don't get to that point where they say, yep, you're the one on. Or, especially now in the transfer culture, too many alphas in one ring means 3 of them about to go get into the portal.
Today's day and age, absolutely. Everyone, way
So
too
I
many
mean,
transfers.
so many transfers. And then like I was a GA at Akron. That was my first time being on that side of things. One, I'm already meeting to the transfer portal, but it didn't good for us. 2, I'm just a GA, and like that was part of my job was staying on top and transfer portal. If a good running back would hit it, and I would let our recruiting coordinator know, see if he was within our recruiting parameters. Every day this list grew by like hundreds of kids. I'm like, hey, why y'all keep coming in here thinking that like the portal was shrinking? Like people ain't coming in here. It ain't a 2-way. It ain't a
Yeah.
It's they need here. People stay here. People die here. Crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, LJ, we're hitting that 53-minute marker.
So
Jonathan, do you want to ask us a fun question to finish off?
A fun question?
Yeah, like we've kind of been ending our last couple episodes with some fun questions.
What was the coldest play you ever had, LJ? Like the coldest move you hit somebody with, or like if you had a highlight, like what was it?
I can think of one.
all right. So by default, I have to say this. I was on ESPN. I was the #1 play in high school. I birthed a kid. You guys could here get on YouTube. I don't know if you guys just split screen.
Hold on. I'll just
type in LJ Scott Hurdle. It's not a long clip, but
keep in mind there's 2 LJ Scotts though.
yeah, not the one in Michigan State. It's the high school clip. I'll be able to check some.
LJ Scott, Hurdles, Buckeye defender. Oh, that's the other guy.
Hurdles, Marion, Ohio, or Mary Hardy. Something along those lines.
Ooh, number 27. That has you.
That's me.
Sorry guys, that's an ad.
What type of ad?
Travelers Insurance.
You trying to travel? I'm being nosy now.
You've been thinking about it.
Been thinking
about it.
All right.
With
You're a blunt.
high school or hurdle and fit it with it. We're going.
All right, I'm watching it.
Let's see when you.
Oh,
No, that's legit.
I thought you was gonna put it to the screen, Tom.
Hey, didn't
I wanted to see it first, but hold on.
I thought
I wanted to see it for myself. Ah, crap.
All right, there, right there.
He's still going.
Oh,
Relax. Check it out.
Okay,
They
I'm
threw a
kidding.
flag, and the play got called back. As in Ohio high school, you're not allowed to hurt.
What? I didn't know that.
Not unless he dies or he leaves his feet. But so by default, I have to say that one. But in college,
You ever truck somebody like truck stick, like
Me.
just
Yeah, he truck
completely
stick
through
me.
somebody?
He threw me.
honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. Once you get to college, you realize that those boys is gonna hit just as hard as you. So like, I was more trying to get out of their way. Like I would lay the bone if I had to, like in the trenches. And I like Tom tell you, I was a strong runner. But lowering the shoulder, especially after I tore my labrum, it was like, let me take care of this and try to go play some ball, some more. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. Tom, you name one of yours.
So I thought of a couple. There was one against Morehead State, our home opener, or our season opener, our last year. LJ had like this amazing hurdle into the end zone. He did the same thing a week later at Marshall. He hurdled over a
I did a
defender
front
into the
flip.
end zone.
So you like to
Front flip.
leap?
Yeah.
So you like
That's
to
what
leap?
it
Huh?
was.
Well, because look, at my side at the time, Tom would say not very many DBs are going to try to hit you up top. Like
Oh, absolutely not.
they would try to go so low that just honestly jumping over most of them just made the most sense.
Gotcha.
Well, LJ, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was
No,
it was an
thank you for
absolute
calling me.
pleasure.
Yeah, man,
Absolutely.
we gotta have you back on, man. That was a great
Yeah.
conversation. I feel like we could have kept going.
Dude,
We had
could've kept
lots.
going forever. That 45-minute mark, I'm like, shoot, I'm ready to go. I appreciate it, guys. For real. Keep doing you guys' thing, man.
Hey, you
sure.
keep doing you, LJ. One of my favorite people,
Absolutely.
man.
All right, man. Well,
You
till
too.
next time,
Mark,
LJ Scott.
appreciate that.
Peace.